everybody. We've already got started here a little on the sidelines with our special guest, but welcome to the latest Dent Micro Podcast episode. Honored to have a celebrigenist with us today. A longtime friend, more like a sister, colleague. She is a doctor, she's a PhD, she's an educator, she's an inventor, she's a patent holder, she's a global KOL in dentistry, worldwide speaker, author. If you don't know her, then this is going to be the most valuable podcast in a long time. But super honored to have my friend and colleague, Dr. Emily Boge, as our special guest today. Welcome to Dent, Dr. Boge.
Well, thank you very much. That was a really big lead up. I don't know if I can live up to that.
Well, and you know what's funny is he left off Highland Games.
Oh, yes. I'm a Highland Warrior. Yes, I'm a 2022 Highland Warrior and farmer, right?
That is going to be, I think that's going to be its own podcast sometime. I don't know if we go into that, we're never coming out of it. So I think we should stick to the plan for now, and then it'll change in 3 minutes. So, I think you were going to give us just give a little background. I mean, there's at least
what are you
4
up
people
to
who don't
today?
know.
I know there's some new things in your life.
Well, I retired from education back in June, and for the last 9 months, I've been wandering around doing speaking and writing and consulting, bunch of KOL stuff. But last week I took a position at Paradise Dental Technologies, PDT, and that's in Missoula, Montana. And so I am their new academics manager. And so in this position, I'm going to be managing their academic accounts. And then I am going to be creating a whole new platform for education. And this is going to be something unlike anything that dentistry has ever seen before. I pitched an idea to them and they were super excited about it. Something that's going to help people get through education, help educators be better educators, and help licensees be reminded about why they got into dentistry in the first place. So I'm very excited about that.
Congratulations. Round of applause.
Round of applause. I can probably weave in some special effects there, maybe even some fireworks or confetti. We'll see how good I am.
Yes.
Okay,
all right. So
no glitter.
10-minute podcast. We're going to start the time.
I know.
Yeah,
they're not paying attention to me, guys.
Originally, this was a 10-minute podcast, and then we were like, okay, they're all going like 14 minutes, 60 minutes. So Mike's like, okay, we're going to start the 10 minutes after we do the introductions, and then people can't be mad.
Okay, timer starts now.
So we are starting the 10 minutes now.
All right.
Go, Matthew.
So you just told us what you're up to. Do you want to share with us, I can't remember. Was that where we're going with this? Is where you are professionally? The state of the state. Yeah. Michael really wants to know. He wants to know why hygiene and dentists don't get along. That's really what he wants. We want to get to right away.
Geez, in 10 minutes? Good grief. Okay, so this can only probably be 2 minutes because I imagine you got other questions. So my big beef with the whole situation is that I worked for a fantastic practice, and we collaborated together, and we always worked together. We wanted what was best for our patients. We were willing to do everything it took to help our patients, our colleagues, and each other. And we always did that all by still recognizing that dentistry is a business, and we all need to earn an honest living. So we were a team, and we really believed in co-diagnosing and working together to care for others. And that's why I still go to the dentist where I used to work, and that was 10 years ago that I left private practice. So it's a very interesting phenomena. I see hygienists leaving by the boatloads, right? And they say we lost about 20% of the people in the year after COVID. But I think the reason why we lost those people is because they got so sick of arguing. And they weren't happy, and they were burnt out, and they were working for people who really didn't give a damn about them. And I think that's what it boils down to, because I see hygienists that abuse the fact that hygienists are making so much money right now. They're being princesses. They're being jerks. I see the other side too. I see dentists who are wanting to make assistants scale. I'm sorry, but I have over 3,000 hours of education, and I don't want somebody who's not educated in my mouth scaling. especially, I mean, and then you go the above the gum line, below the gum line thing, which I won't even touch right now because we don't have time for that.
That's another podcast.
But I just get so fired up about people on either side of the fence that just don't want to admit that there's good and bad on both sides of the fence. And so I get really fired up about that because I was very fortunate to work at a practice where I was treated so kindly and given everything I needed. I mean, I'm a giant. I'm 6'1", right? 5'13", Boge 5'13". But I needed ergonomic things, for instance, in practice. And everything I needed, my boss was like, get it. I don't want you to get hurt. I don't want you to suffer. I don't want you to have dull instruments. And I just don't understand why people don't value their humans. Humans are our most valuable asset. And when they don't value their humans enough to take care of them and help them get what they need. And so it goes on both sides. So that's my deal. When I left private practice, I was so worried that I would lose the ability to affect change one patient at a time. And I quickly found out that when I went to the college, I was then influencing 25 people in each class, dental assisting and dental hygiene, that could then go out and care for patients one patient at a time. And then when I got to corporate, I now figured out I can care for hundreds of schools who can all go and do that. And so we all have the ability to affect change. And that's what keeps the industry so interesting. But we have to do that while we're still respecting the human capital, the time element of things.
Would you say that was maybe one good thing that came out of COVID, was that we learned, well, we certainly found out who was in and who was out, right? We kind of, it self-determined who was wanted to be in this for the long haul. I'm not going to say the right reasons, but then it also forced, look, you can't take people for granted anymore because people they may not be around.
I say that all the time in my ethics lectures. COVID did two things for us. It taught patients health literacy and to wash their doggone hands. Mm-hmm. And it taught clinicians who was in it for the long haul, who was willing to wear whatever the CDC said we had to do, whether it was N95s, whether it was whatever we needed to do, keep ourselves and our patients safe. And it also, I don't want to say it weeded the garden, but it really did. I mean, it got rid of the people who just didn't care.
You can say that on this podcast because we can say
I'm really good at sticking my foot in my mouth.
Get in line. This is why we wanted you so desperately.
This is a safe place.
That's right.
I'm tired of sides. We've got to look for solutions. I think also a big component before I get to my question is it showcases the lack of business acumen skills during clinical education of the clinician, whether it's specialist, dentist, assistant, hygienist. This is economies of scale. A workforce left, supply, demand. Right. We are not graduating enough clinicians to meet the pre-existing demand. So
we
let's
have
get
enough educators to educate enough clinicians.
There you go.
I mean, it's a bigger problem than that. It's so big.
When we go to our primary care or urgent care, I can't tell you the last time I saw an MD. I saw a nurse practitioner or a physician assistant. And why aren't we being each other's allies and raising to a more efficient, again, another topic for another podcast. All right, I'm going to dive in with mine. I'm going to take you back. First, congratulations on your new position.
Yes.
They are so lucky to have you. I know you're going to blow it out. And I'm super excited to hear about the new educational system. But I'm going to take you back to education because it's how I love seeing you at the front of a classroom, whether it's with students or whether it's with colleagues. I want you to think of a great hygiene student that you had. And I want you to tell me, what was it about him or her that just gave you that confidence that they're going to go out in the world and really make a difference or tear it up or be... Could you describe to our audience, we have a lot of younger clinicians, people still in school as audience members, and they don't want to be lectured to. They want to be told. So I'm putting you on the spot, but can you tell the audience about those distinguishing characteristics, please?
Yeah. I mean, there's lots and lots and lots of students that I can think about just right offhand for different reasons. But I really think what it all boils down to is the clinicians who were really good at assessment and really would take the time to listen to their patients. They weren't the first clinicians that were done with patient care. They weren't perfect. They weren't, oh, she's the best scaler in the world. She can get 100% on every exam. They were the patients, or the students who really cared about their patients. And they treated their patients and not their patients' mouths. They treated the human and not the teeth. They treated, the other side of that is if it wasn't a full mouth case, they treated by quadrant. Yes, they had to slow down, but the patient got the best of the best of the best. And I think a lot of times students enter into school and they say, oh, I'm not a very good test taker. Or they enter into school and they say, I have really crappy hand-eye coordination. Like I was one that could take a test in my sleep, but teaching myself to do the things I needed to do with my large human body, kind of breaking out of the traditional ergonomics standpoint, it was a challenge. And so I think students beat themselves up too much when they get into school and they don't realize right away that we're teaching them how to think critically, and we're teaching them to be the whole clinician and not just somebody who is really good at scaling the distal of number 2.
Awesome.
Right. Yeah,
awesome.
I agree.
We could talk to you forever. We got one more question.
I got to follow up to that. We got 1.5 more questions, Mister.
All right. You handle the complaint emails from our audience, but
just fast forward me. I will sound like a chipmunk.
Well, no, it's a quick one because I've seen you a lot at like events and shows and seminars and meetings and all that. And you always speak to such a large audience, and the audience is pretty varied. Like, you know what I mean? It's a really interesting cross section of dentistry. And what do you think about this next generation of hygienists, clinicians? You can take it wherever you want, but like, the next generation that's coming through, because we did have that weed out, right? What if that's what we're going to call it, right? And then
I think that they are going to do great things, and this is why, because we're many layers, but it starts with the education. So the educators are really stepping up and taking control of the technology. They're taking control of making sure that the Commission on Dental Accreditation sticks to their guns when it comes to standards, that they're not going to start accepting these wildly large class sizes so they can still give students one-on-one attention, because dentistry is an art and a science. And we need to be able to give our students one-on-one attention. And so I'm really excited, as long as things kind of stay even keel with education, I think eventually we'll rebound from the turmoil that was post-COVID. But we really need to take advantage of all the technology, because, look at even taking our boards on mannequins versus live patients. Look at how that helped our students during COVID. And what did they find out? They found out that the boards on mannequins have a slightly higher efficacy because they take all of the uncontrolled variables out. And so everyone was so fired up about that. Oh my God, it's going to be the most horrible thing in the world, brimstone and fire. And really, it ended up being really, really good for us. And I think we need to continue to take advantage of these technological advancements that are out there, and those different scaling modalities, different biofilm removal. We need to let the science work for us. And that's going to make the clinicians of tomorrow so much better.
Yep. And I think that generation, they also they're learning differently, and they have this thirst of knowledge, and they want to learn from people like you that are out there. And
agreed.
So
I also think my audiences are so varied, because I never get up to the podium and act like I know everything. I'm going to tell you everything. My job as a lecturer is to take the science that's out there and make it halfway interesting and organized for you. So you want to sit in the room with me for 2 hours and listen to it, because I'm not out there promoting my own research. I'm out there making sense of things that you need to be doing in the operatory. And I think that's why thanks. That's why, like last week I lectured in Kansas City, and I had a really weird cross section of, I had a TMJ specialist in the audience, and my topic was assessment of trigeminal neuralgia. And after the lecture, he came up to me and he told me how great he thought I did. And I'm like, dude, you're a specialist. Like, you're a pain control specialist. But he's like, but we need people to drive patients to us and quit pretending they know everything.
Yeah.
And it just made me feel like, oh my gosh, maybe I'm doing the right thing, you know? And sometimes as a speaker, that's so hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard.
It is. And I
all right. Sorry. Good. There's your half a question wrap up.
Okay.
Emily, we ask all of our guests the same question here. And I want you to shoot from the hip here. I'm giving you a magic wand. You can change one thing about dentistry today. One thing. What is it you would like to see change?
In every office in the country, I would like to see dental hygienists have the time that they truly need to assess. Because time and time and time again, I hear hygienists say, I'm not giving the appropriate care to my patients because I don't have the time to gather the assessment. And we were very fortunate a couple weeks ago to get a brand new release of the standards of clinical dental hygiene practice that hasn't happened since 2016. Right. So it's been 9 years. So we finally got an update on that. It includes social determinants for health. It includes a far more robust category for risk assessment, a more robust category for all the different tests we can do for our patients, salivary testing, A1C, all the things. But to do that, to make it happen, we have to have time.
Right.
And so if I had a magic wand, I would do two things. I would give the hygienists the time they need, and I would have hygienists that would respect that time and wouldn't spend time on their Instagram, sitting in their operatory hiding, wasting time. So it would be a both sides thing. Get the time you need to use, but use the time you're given.
Well, and that's an interesting point, and it's another podcast, is that part of there's several things that are broken in dentistry. One is the 50-minute appointment, right? The way that the schedule is built. And I've never even thought about this until right now. The reason
my employer, we would schedule from the chair. So if I had somebody in my chair, say it was an elderly woman who just was homebound, couldn't care for herself. I had her on a 2-month perioral maintenance already, and I knew I needed an hour and a half for her. My boss would be like, Emily, take an hour and a half, take whatever you need. Right. But if I had a kid that I could get done in 40 minutes, I would take 40 minutes.
Sure.
And so we did all of our own scheduling, and that way you could stagger things so you got the time you needed. And when you didn't know if you needed the time, say it was a new patient, we always knew we could schedule the patient back.
Right.
Yeah. And our boss wasn't going to get bent out of shape. Oh, production. We made money. We made good money. But it was because we were given the autonomy to use our time the way we needed to.
Yep.
Well, thanks for being balanced in saying there's effective use of time and there's non-effective use.
Oh, there's effective abuse of time too, because I've seen it. Oh, Lord, I could tell you.
Yeah, I just, we need to strip ourselves down, come together. I mean, if we're ever going to raise dentistry, at least parallel to healthcare as a critical, it starts with ourselves. So thanks for being so candid on this. We are going to have you back. There's going to be a Dr. Emily part 2 and part 3.
Yes.
But you're just what we needed. And thanks for being unabashedly you.
You're welcome.
This is why your audiences are jam-packed. This is why I can listen to you forever.
I was waiting for you to ask what we're doing in the field, what I was doing in the field, because we started planting corn this weekend, just 2 days ago. And
I thought you
were going to say, what are you doing in the field? And I was going to be like, well, I burnt about 3 acres the other day in a controlled fire, and we started planting. So you ruined my setup.
That's the other field. See, I thought we were going to the
dental There we
field.
go.
Now we're
all the field.
Field. We're in the the farm field.
The field.
You can visit the Boge farm and see the actual Field of Dreams across the street. One of my favorite movies. But and
I'll fill you full of food and take you for all of the ATV and tractor rides you want.
I'm in.
Sounds like
thank you so much for your time. I know it's been a long day. You're amazing. I can't wait to see you and get a hug. But we're going to strip in information, how to contact you. Our audience, I know, is really thankful to hear from you.
Yep.
So thank you.
Thanks for all you do.
So my company is called Think Big Dental. Mike, you have all my email addresses and my new PDT email address. So we will talk to you all soon. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks everybody. Like and subscribe. Tell your friends and colleagues to download and watch this episode. Emily, you're amazing.
Thanks.
Yep. Thanks so much, everybody. We'll catch you next episode.
See ya.
Bye.